This article is about why I took up open air outreach in 2018. I think I'd done some open air outreach when I first became a Christian in 1981, but really from 1984 onwards I had stopped doing any open air outreach. And so it was something of a trepidation to do it, and there had to be some very good reason why I was going to, as it were, do the thing which I would not naturally do, which is go out into the streets and preach. And so the whole effect was brought about by a realization that the evidence for creation and the evidence against evolution was becoming overwhelming. This has become a gradual process in one sense. I had studied this subject for 40 years. But by the time we got to 1996 and Michael Behe produced his book, Darwin's Back Blocks, we were becoming aware, those of us who are interested in the subject, that the evidence for complexity in biology was just becoming overwhelming for any credible theory of evolution to be true. And this became even more the case when we come to 2000 and onwards, when the human genome was finally mapped out and other animal genomes were mapped out. And the realization was that there was no junk DNA. This was all fully functional, fully coding, and we are dealing with an incredibly complex universe of information packed into every cell. Well, that type of evidence is irrefutable. Evolution is false. But that still didn't propel me onto the streets. What propelled me onto the streets was the next piece of evidence that came up, which was that they had discovered soft tissue in dinosaur bones. Mary Schweitzer had done this in 2005, and for about 5 years the scientific community had contested that this was really dinosaur DNA, dinosaur blood, dinosaur collagen. The assumption was it must be contamination, because everyone knows that none of these things can last millions of years. Well, from about 2010 onwards, the scientific community came reluctantly to the conclusion that this actually was from the dinosaurs. And they've still yet to have a satisfactory explanation for how they can fit millions of years into soft tissue. But I think for anybody who has any sense of common sense, this is a no-brainer. Soft tissue, thousands of years. If the dinosaur bones are thousands of years old, so is the rocks they're embedded in, so is everything about the sedimentary rock layer that we have, because these soft tissues aren't just found in dinosaurs, they're found in other fossils. And so I decided that this evidence, which is a bit like a smoking gun, it just requires an immediate response. You can't just leave this evidence alone. This is not only irrefutable, it's obviously irrefutable, and it should be open to any non-scientist to see what the implications are for this. So I wrote off the Prime Minister, the Secretary of State for Education, and wrote off to the Archbishops of Canterbury and all the other leaders of the mainline churches. This was about 2014. Well, I wasn't surprised. I got virtually no response. And such responses I had were sort of copies of standard responses to anything on this line. So I thought, well, what can I do now? I suppose thinking of Ezekiel, where it says the watchmen on the tower, if they don't give the warning, the blood of those who die as a consequence of what's going to happen next is on their hands. I felt I really had to do something. And so I thought the only thing I could do would be to do open air preaching. It's the only way I could kind of announce the information, and people could then make up their own minds whether they want to stop and listen or whether they just want to walk past. And so really from 2018 onwards, I have been doing open air preaching in cathedral cities. I was looking at the possibility of seeing how maybe the Church of England could see this information as being really important in their decision making, and then just generally